We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. A 2.7-mile circuit, peaking at around 190 miles per hour. 2 DRS zones, 14 turns, tight corners everywhere you look, and a very narrow track. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Andrea Kimi Antonelli puts him on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Russell, Ollie Behrman and Mayer, Jackson, Gasly, Hadjar, Gabriel Bortoleto, Albon, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Doohan, Stroll, Ocon, Zay Maloney, Paul Aaron, Lawson, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, and Pepe Marti completes the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside us for this one is Naomi Schiff. I love this moment in the weekend. Put us in their shoes right now. What are they feeling on the grid?
It's a very special time for the drivers. It's almost like everything around you slows down and you become hyper aware. So your nerves slightly go up, your adrenaline's going up. It's the perfect time to start focusing on your visualizations and preparing for the race. So you want to avoid distractions and really stay cool, calm, and focused.
Right then, the formation lap is underway here in Montreal, a circuit where the cars take a physical battering and the pit and paddock facilities are cramped. But the atmosphere, as always, is great, and the race ahead has the potential to be a good one. So as all the cars reform the grid, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring their planned strategies are all in place.
All right, here we are, drivers pulling up to their grid slots in Canada. Pretty overcast. Spot of sun throughout the middle of the race, pretty much. We see Jackson pulling up to his grid slot. You heard his car having some component issues for speed. Antonelli Norris on the front row. 5 red lights are on here in Canada. And we're off to the Canadian Grand Prix to remember, hopefully. A lot of position changes in the back as everybody's trying to single file. 2 by 2 going through from Leclerc Russell. It's going to be Behrman by himself. Mayer's behind with Jackson side by side. Gasly and Hadjar were side by side momentarily. We see a lot more position changes there at the back of the field. Everybody's starting to single file now, coming through turn 4 and 5, now 6 and 7. Here at the end of Sector 1, start of Sector 2. Bortoleto sitting P11 just outside of the points. Alonso and Stroll starting outside of the points from their race weekend. Stroll being the hometown hero this time around. Going around the outside of Jack Doohan. Well, holding on the outside lane. He had the position on him. Carlos Sainz passes Alonso for P12. Norris just about a second ahead of Antonelli. Russell sitting back in P3. Leclerc P4. So we're coming down a Sector 3. I believe it's a second DRS zone. The detection zone is just out after turn 9. We'll get DRS in this lap. Hadjar Albon holding on to P8, P9 ahead of Gasly for P10. Russell Jackson holding on to P3 and P6. Antonelli P2, Mayer P7. So it looks like it's going to be a battle between Red Bull, Mercedes, and Konnersport this time around. We see Jackson trying to close in on Behrman. He has Mayer close behind, almost coming in contact with the wall on those medium tires. And at this point of the race, I remembered my rear tires are not where they needed to be. I changed my tire pressures for qualifying. The front tires are maxed out, while the rear tires, I believe, have half tire pressure as we look to try to make a move on Behrman. Not quite there. We're going to have DRS on Behrman. Antonelli gets passed by Russell through turn 10. We brake a little late, try to make a move on the outside of Behrman. Back end steps out a little bit, like I was just saying. The tire pressures are going to be all wrong. We did adjust our wings to kind of help us on the straight line speed. And if we don't get a close enough push against the driver, they're just going to pull away. Side by side with Behrman coming into turn 13. Wall of Champions. And we come out ahead of Behrman for P5 to start out lap number 3. The gap forming between us and Leclerc. Leclerc has the same situation between him and Antonelli as they start to pull away. As we move on to, I believe, lap 5? Not lap 4, at the end of lap 4. Well, halfway through lap 4, sector 2, we see Callie Mayer passing Jackson. Jackson's going to have DRS now. He's going to have the opportunity to re-overtake through the second and third DRS zones. Coming through turn 10, braking as late as possible, get as close to her as possible as we can. Hajar, Albon still holding on to P8, P9. This is what I was just talking about. You're not close enough to the car in front, they will start pulling away, even though we have DRS on this track. It's going to be very intensive on the engine for that high rate of speed, like Monza or Spa. Back end slipping out a bit. We try to stay as close as we can to Mayer. Lap 9 now is when the next little bit of action happens. Through this first stint, Russell braking late into turn 10 on the inside of Lando Norris, holding him to the outside. Lando Norris is going to have the advantage, but he's not going to have DRS, and Russell's trying to put the pressure down to get ahead. Norris can't stay ahead as much as he could. He tried to squeeze him into the wall. We saw Russell struggle there a little bit, or hesitate, easily taking that position. Norris knew he wasn't going to be able to do much about it. Russell takes the lead to finish out lap 9 here in Canada, as Stroll sitting in P10, Jackson P6, Albon, Hajar 7 and 8 now, as Bortoletto's fighting Stroll for that 10th spot. We see Jackson coming into the pits for the first pit stop of the race, actually. Off the medium tires onto a new set of hards. I believe we go medium hard for this race weekend. Antonelli, Mayer, P3 and P5 at this point. We see the two Audis coming out through the start of sector 1 into turn 1, turn 2. We see Lawson, Aaron, and Dewitt, who actually had a spin back on lap 3, I believe it was. I don't remember which lap it was for sure. But we see Russell coming through turn 10 on lap 10 to see if he's going to be coming into the pits this time around. He usually comes in after us. Well, AI usually comes in after the driver teammate. He's leading 1.5 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. He's going to be staying out. Lando Norris electing to come in, and that's going to be Leclerc coming in behind him. So the second and third pit stops of today, as Antonelli and Mayer move up to provisional podium spots, but it is still pretty early. And that's going to be Norris with an issue. It's going to be a tire on and release issue, I think it was. So we see Albon coming in as well. So Norris losing position to Leclerc. That might get Leclerc a good opportunity later in the race. No issues for Albon. Nobody else coming into the pits as of yet. Two Audis still staying together. We see two V-carbs staying together. And let's see where Dewitt is. He's coming into the pits at the end of lap 10. He's going to be the last driver. So he's not having a good race today with that early spin. He's going to be coming off those medium tires onto a new set of hards. I don't believe anybody started on soft tires now that I remember it. I had thought about starting on soft tires, but I didn't want to jeopardize our race, as neither of our... No, actually, now that I think of it, I did actually do some research. Jackson and Alonso are the only drivers so far to not finish outside of the top 10 this season. And all the other drivers have at least one. So we have Russell coming in for his pit stop. Antonelli and Mayer staying out. So they're both on their same set of tires. We see Hadjar coming in for his pit stop, another set of hards. No, that's going to be a set of mediums. Issue on the right rear for him. He didn't get passed by Bortoletto. He does have the Red Bull of Behrman right behind him, though. There is Pepe Marty and Liam Lawson. Paul Aaron coming through Sector 1. We see Jack Doohan back in P22 after his pit stop. He's 37 seconds back behind Colapinto, his teammate, and he looks like he's going to be lapped here pretty soon. Russell, 10 seconds back from Callie Mayer, beating Stroll and Alonso for P4 and P5. Gasly on the inside of Leclerc was not going to be able to make a move like that on that Ferrari. Sainz closing in for DRS. Don't want to put that much pressure on your teammate, especially where they're at right now. For constructors, McLaren's starting to fall off and seeming like they're going to be a midfield team. As we see Jackson P12 make a move on the outside of Ocon on a new set of hard tires, take a dip into the grass. DRS trying to close in on Maloney, who's sitting P10. See if he's going to be able to make an advantage out of that. Maloney still staying out, I believe. He hasn't pit yet. We see Jackson is ahead of Maloney, Hadjar, Ocon, and Sainz. Ocon and Sainz. Hadjar behind Albon by 4 seconds. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of pit stops this season. We see Hulkenberg getting a new set of medium tires. Lawson getting a new set of medium tires, having an issue with that right rear tire. It's not going to be the first one today. I'm sure it's not going to be the last. There's Jack Doohan. I believe he's going through to Sector 1. He has pit, I believe. We go through the rest of the grid here on lap 13 already of 35. Jackson currently sitting P9. Already completing one pit stop. We have Gasly and Norris ahead battling it out. Marty and Bortoletto fighting it out down the order. Another dip in the grass, this time on the left side of turn 11. Little audio issue there. I'll fix it before uploading the commentary. If you guys didn't hear it, that means I did fix it. Jackson gaining a position because Stroll is now in the pits onto a new set of medium tires. Bortoletto sitting P12, about 14.9. There he is, passing on the straight to start out lap 14. We have Pepe Marty coming in. Maloney leading Hulkenberg. Lawson, Aaron, Doohan. They're not doing a great time. Timeout this time. They're not doing great this time out. Jackson P7, Russell P3. 3.1 seconds between Russell and Mayer. As we see Jackson closing in on Norris and Alonso. Alonso holding Norris back. Jackson on the new set of tires. We're going to see if either of these drivers coming into their pit stops this time around. Antonelli and Mayer have yet to come in for their pit stops, so we don't know what's going on here. They might be running a one-stop strategy today. So we see Mayer losing position to Russell. Leclerc 12 seconds back. See what's going on here as we chase down Norris. That's going to be Fernando Alonso coming in, and it's Leclerc passing Mayer. So Mayer is coming in for her stop. Most likely going to be a one-stop. We have Gasly coming in behind Alonso onto a new set of medium tires. Issue with a right front this time for Alonso. As Mayer's coming out just ahead of Hadjar on a new set of tires. Hadjar is going to be able to make a move, hopefully. He can get the power down. Jackson currently sitting up the P5. Russell still 3.1 seconds behind Antonelli as he's yet to take his pit stop. Lap 16, the end of lap 16 now. And we see Antonelli coming into the pits. So Russell is going to be leading this race. Antonelli coming into the pits as well. So both Mercedes on a one-stop strategy for this race here in Canada. And the sun is starting to beat down. So we see the rest of the grid. Antonelli P2, P3. Leclerc sitting P2 now. Norris is probably going to pass, maybe not. We're on board with Norris ahead of Jackson. as they're going to be coming through to start of lap 17. Antonelli coming up P5. And this fight is going to continue as we get to our F1 commentators.
It's an exciting race weekend in Montreal, Canada, with Mercedes making waves as the only team going for a one-stop strategy. Just like after the last race in Spain, where Fernando Alonso took the win, he now finds himself down in 14th place after his latest pit stop. Laura Winter is in the commentary box to recap and expand on what's been said about one-stop strategies this season.
Thank you, Crofty. It's a bit of a squeeze in here with you and James, but glad to be here. Mercedes opting for a one-stop here in Canada isn't to be taken lightly, especially if you take weather conditions into consideration. They must ensure the car is in the optimal window to execute their plan, considering the overcast conditions and the forecasted rain toward the end of the race. Based on past experiences, any incident that triggers a safety car could prompt teams to quickly adjust their strategies to maintain track position.
There have been 37 safety cars, including virtual safety cars here in Canada. Could Mercedes be strategizing for a late free stop, or do they have the capability to push through to the end of the race?
They manage their tyres effectively while continuing to push for positions, and the information available suggests they could make it to the end.
With both drivers securing top 10 finishes, Mercedes would remain in contention against Aston Martin and Red Bull, currently holding 4th place with 86 points, just 3 points behind Aston Martin. On that note, Mercedes' Toto Wolff is on the radio from the pit box. How's the team doing, Toto? Anything to worry about with Meyer having a slow stop?
There is no significant cause for concern. While the team experiences occasional slip-ups, our drivers are managing them effectively on the track.
We did want to see what the team is thinking for the remainder of the race. Are you hoping for the rain to come, or are your drivers set on pushing to the end of the race?
We had the opportunity to conduct conditional testing during practice due to the similar weather conditions, and with rain approaching, the team is confident we can bring the cars home without making another stop.
I did want to ask, since we are getting closer to the mid-season, any plans on contracts for drivers, or is it too soon to tell with how the championship is going?
On weekends, the team is fully focused on the championship without any distractions from contract discussions. Those matters are addressed after the race weekend whenever possible.
All right, Toto, we thank you for your time. We did see a spin in Sector 2 from Esteban Ocon and tried to reach out to Haas, but they didn't want to talk at the moment, so we will be going down to the pit lane with Ted Kravitz before visiting Ackerman at Konnersport. How has it been down there, Ted?
Well, it's pretty calm at the moment, the Mercedes drivers being the last ones in, but I believe we will be seeing more cars coming in within the next few laps for their second pit stops. We've already seen a handful of pit crews struggling with getting tyres off, and you do not want that at a track like Canada where the pit lane is longer on the exit than the entrance.
Anything out of the ordinary that you've seen down there?
No, I can't say I have, other than the pit crew issues. A lot of the teams have had pretty clean pit stops, but that doesn't mean there won't be any more.
I know it wasn't much, but I did want to thank you, Ted, for checking in with us. I know there will be plenty more action in the pits for you to tell us about later. We now move on to the Konnersport pit box. Casper, the team is doing great. Is the team still aiming for upgrades on the season while fighting at the front, or is work being started for next season?
The team is in a great position at present, and thanks to Devon, it is in the team's best interest to continue prioritizing the durability of parts for the remainder of the season, while simultaneously advancing progression for next season at the factories.
I did ask Toto at Mercedes, and I believe we did ask this at a previous race, has there been any thought of contracts for your current drivers for next season?
With the team's ability to shift focus to other aspects of the season, discussions have been held with both drivers, and we have both of our current drivers in mind for next season. While we have not yet reached the stage where contracts can be signed, we are confident in retaining the same lineup for the upcoming season.
Russell does seem like a good fit for the team, and Jackson has been there for a few years now. Who do you think the team will prioritize if that choice comes for the championship?
At this point, we just let them hit the track and sort it out themselves, since they're still working together toward the Constructors' Championship.
We appreciate your time once again, Casper, and we'll reconnect after the season break to discuss contracts, lap 21 of 35. As we are getting close to the next few pit stops, Russell leading Leclerc, and a battle between both Mercedes drivers and Jackson as we get back to the action.
21 of 35, like Crofty was saying. Jackson tailing behind Antonelli just outside of DRS. But at this point on, lap 22, we're already starting to feel pretty rough on these tires. So Callie Mayer makes a move like she did earlier in the race in Sector 2. Not quite there for her to get that position. We're still going to be defending as much as we can on these tires. Really starting to feel the effect. You see us going wide there through turn 10. Jackson has pretty much only battery to defend against Mayer. Russell coming in for his final pit stop. We see the overtake from Callie Mayer on the inside of that back straight. We see Albon trying to close in behind as well. Albon's coming into the pit. I believe Norris is coming in behind him. Russell had a good stop. I believe that's the Ferrari of Leclerc in the pits as well. As we see Russell coming out. Is he going to be coming out ahead of Mayer? Yes, he is. It's going to be a little bit of a team game here at this point of the race, hopefully. As Antonelli leads, Russell P2, Mayer P3, Konnersport fighting Mercedes this time around. This checkerboard of the top four. And we see Jackson coming into the pits this time, trying to get a good toe off of Mayer. She's already 1.9 seconds back behind Russell. We see Hadjar coming in behind as well. That's going to be Leclerc out in P4, provisional P4. Stroll outside as well, Bortoletto P6. I don't believe he is pit yet at this time. Gasly passing with Albon chasing behind. Going to be coming out ahead of Gasly and Albon probably. Colapinto coming in off of another issue for the front right tire. A lot of people having issues like they were talking about with those pit crews. It's going to be Sainz ahead of Marty, Behrman, P15, Colapinto, Maloney, Hulkenberg. So we go back to the beginning of the order. Antonelli leading 1.9 seconds ahead of Russell. Mayer's another 2.4. Leclerc P4 with 6.189. Stroll P5, Bortoletto P6, Alonso P7. So Aston Martin, Ferrari, Mercedes, Konnersport, 1 Williams, and 1 McLaren as of right now for our top 10. A very strong challenge for this time around. Mercedes is really needing this against Aston Martin, especially Ferrari. We see Jackson. Alonso does not come in yet. We do see Stroll and Bortoletto coming in. No issues for Stroll. Bortoletto having an issue front right tire yet again. A lot of teams having issues. Gasly having an okay stop. Coming in. Sainz staying out. They could have double stopped there, now that I think about it. Behrman, Marty switching positions. I believe Marty went into the pits. Yeah, Marty went into the pits. Colapinto staying out. Paul Aaron staying out. No issues for Pepe Marty. He's going to be the only last person on this lap to come in. We go 1.4 seconds between Russell and Antonelli on lap 25. Jackson trying to chase down Alonso on a new set of hard tires. Alonso's not going to be able to fight it. He has old mediums. A little bit of a tire scrub there, and we dip our tires in the grass side by side with Alonso. So we push him very close to the wall. And I thought it would have been very dangerous, but luckily he did go into the pits without having any steering issues. So Alonso coming into the pits. Albon and Hadjar are going to be able to make advantage of that. Coming into the pits with a new set of mediums, so hard, medium for Alonso. His teammate Stroll passing him. Bortoletto coming through ahead of Sainz and Gasly. Bortoleto coming up to P10 ahead of Alonso. Alonso might be able to get out ahead of him. I'm not sure. The fight right now is Antonelli and Russell. Russell within DRS range. He's right in the gearbox of Antonelli. See what he can do out of turn 11. Both drivers on hard tires. Russell on fresher hard tires, so he's going to be able to make a move for the lead here, hopefully. He's going to be pushing Antonelli to the inside. Antonelli defending and relatively not being able to defend anything, really. Paul Aaron coming into the pits. I thought I saw a car coming in, or heard a car coming in, so Paul Aaron getting lapped by the leaders. I don't believe he's the only one. We see Lawson here. Aaron going through the grid. That's going to be Konnersport and Mercedes of Antonelli and Russell. So we have a handful of drivers already lapped. And that's going to be Paul Aaron between Russell and Antonelli. So Russell's going to be able to get away. You see that time increasing between them. Hajar and Albon switching positions. Jackson sitting P5. Both Mercedes currently on the podium. Lap 31 of 35. We're on board with Lawson, who's been lapped. You see the Konnersport of Russell, I believe it was. Also ahead of Doohan. See smoke from Lawson. That's going to be an engine failure for Lawson here in Sector 1 between turn 2 and turn 3. That is not a safe location. There would have been a safety car or a virtual safety car on that position if it wasn't for the race being on lap 33. So there we are. Jackson coming through Sector 1's turn 1 and 2. And by this time, the car has already disappeared. So yellow Sector 1. No virtual safety car. P5 for Jackson. And that's pretty much going to be it for this race. So Russell leading Antonelli, Leclerc coming through turn 11 and 12. We are on board with George Russell. Last time for Konnersport, it was Jackson in Monaco. This time it is George Russell. First time in Konnersport since he changed teams. He's going to be winning here in Canada against Antonelli, who's coming in P2. Let's see where Antonelli is. He's going to be coming through the wall of champions, and that's going to be Leclerc just behind him for top 3. So a very good finish for multiple teams today as Mercedes is pushing in the constructors.
Drive from the talented George Russell, who takes the checkered flag.
And you can really tell that they're taking this one step at a time, one race at a time, and getting the points on the board when it matters. That's what it's going to take, consistency and the bigger picture.
Now it is time to start the celebrations as we welcome our top 3. And celebrating with the trophy, George Russell on the top step. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
All right, there we have it. A Canadian Grand Prix to remember. Way better than last time around with the DNF. Aiden Jackson moving up from P7 to P5. And then George Russell moving up from P4 to P1. Starting on that second row. Kimi Antonelli losing out by about 0.7 of a second, 6.5, something like that, as we go through our top 10. Some late retirements after the safety car window, and that's very unfortunate. So I believe it's Bortoleto retired. Actually, let's look at the race director here. Yeah, so Bortoleto DNF'd. And Liam Lawson DNF'd, and then everybody else was lapped. So these guys were all lapped. Very interesting race, very fun race. Another win on the year for George Russell in Konnersport. Let's go ahead and look into our standings. George Russell now leading the Constructors' Championship by 7 points. Jackson staying in second with that position change. And then Fernando Alonso dropping down from first to fourth. If George Russell didn't get on the top side of the podium, Aiden Jackson would be leading Charles Leclerc. And then it would be George Russell, Fernando Alonso. But it's starting to shape up to be a very interesting championship with both Konnersport drivers on the top of the order. Mercedes putting in a good fight this time around as the lead pushes to 171 points versus Gulf Williams 132. They finished in the points, didn't get as many as they wanted to. Mercedes pushing up to 116 points, so they're still within that fight against Gulf Williams. So Konnersport is pushing away Gulf Williams versus Mercedes as Aston Martin leads Red Bull while Ferrari and McLaren are fighting it out. Still, Alpine, Audi Sport, and Ford Racing Pool yet to score any points. Toyota Haas still sitting at their 2 points. And I'm looking forward to next time around in Austria. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.